Hello, everybody. Good evening, good morning, nice lunchtime wherever you are in the world. May even be some people who watch us in the middle of the night. That's so amazing. Thank you for saying hello. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your feedback for the last few shows from which we have learned. And we are changing and adjusting a few things. And just thank you so much for being here and for creating this community. I'm still baffled that it really works to have such a strong connection via technology. I suppose it's a combination of technology and Reiki, through which we naturally feel a connection. So I'm just looking, hello to Berlin, hello to Sussex, hello to Toronto, Wirral, Yorkshire, Ontario, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Los Angeles. Fantastic. It's so good to have you all here and to form this community, number one, and to deepen what we can do in the world to make the world a better place, which is the ultimate goal. To create a world that we really enjoy living in every single day. Why shouldn't that be possible? We have Reiki, we have a connection, we have healing hands. So if anybody is placed in this world to make the world a better place, I'm sure it is actually us Reiki practitioners. So it's great to have you all here, and I see there are more and more people joining. So let's just give that a few moments till everybody is here. Let's see who is there. Surrey, France, North Carolina. It's just so exciting. The Netherlands, New York State. It's fantastic. It's really, really good. So again, great having you all here. And I would like to share a few things. I tend to keep things very personal just because I speak from the heart and I speak from my life when I give explanations. And what I really don't want is to pretend life is easier than it actually is. Life is not easy. Life creates great challenges. And in a way, through Reiki, I find that we often start to learn that these challenges are there for a reason. I do hope that at some stage we have brought in so much change that we may not even need all the challenges anymore. But currently, a lot of people have lots of challenges. And my first response tends to be, and I very honestly admit that, to not very much like the challenge. I like to be in a way I'm comfortable with, and things have often been established over a time, and I kind of adjusted to what's there, and suddenly things changed. Especially in London at the Reiki Academy over the last few weeks. It's a weird time after COVID when bookings are significantly reduced. But I tried various things and various offerings at the Reiki Academy, and somehow there isn't an awful lot of change. So reluctantly, I have come to the conclusion that there is a message, maybe a lesson to be learned, but it's more probably a message. And in order to get a message, often it has to be quite clear, quite strong. So over the last week or 2 weeks, I spent quite some time in meditation trying to work out what to actually do. And the conclusion or the guidance I received. And we'll go into guidance in a moment because it's such an important and amazing element of Reiki. The guidance became clearer and clearer to basically take the next 4 weeks off. Not from the Tuesdays, so the Tuesdays are running, but from offering basically anything else. And step by step, building up the momentum, the depth, and more content for the Reiki revolution to go deeper. Now the pandemic is over and we are craving for change. So we really, really need to seize this universe-given opportunity. So what we're going to do is we will, of course, offer, and we'll continue offering it for free, the support through the Tuesday Reiki Revolution live shows. We will focus a little bit more in the future on questions so that we really try to be very hands-on, ears-on, and be in a communication, not just with the guest on the show, but with everybody who is on there. So you're very, very welcome to send in, to email me any questions you may have. And if I can find that, I even put in the email address. Yeah, I think it worked. So just send an email to me at torsten@reikiacademylondon.com, and I will try, or we will try together with the guests here, to make sense of the questions, to answer the questions, and go deeper. So this is what what we are going to do, but it's all building up to the end of July. On the 30th of July, I've been invited, or we're holding a workshop together with Alternatives in London, which is going to be live in London, but also mainstreamed, and it's called Reiki for Inner Peace. And without inner peace, we cannot do anything. We cannot even start reaching out. We cannot start trying to make a world a better place. A revolution without resting in ourselves is going to fail, as so many other revolutions. And what we want is to make this change lasting, to create a more positive, happier, healthier, more peaceful life, and to find the inner strength and momentum, trust and connection to bring that out and reach many, many more people with our healing hands, with our connection, and invite people to find their connection as well. The idea behind Reiki for Inner Peace is to reach people who have learned Reiki and to focus more on finding this connection and deepening it inside and finding more peace. But it's also suitable for people who've never learned Reiki before. So it includes an attunement. It's not meant as a full training to give treatments to other people, but to create this incredible connection that Reiki is. Reiki, the highest energy, the highest vibration in the universe. The translation of Reiki means universal energy, or more accurately, spiritual energy. So we are reaching up, we are connecting to very, very high vibrations. This is what Reiki is all about, and this is what we want to share. I could have prepared better, and I didn't. So you will soon, next week, find the link on the Reiki Academy London page. You can also go to alternatives.org.uk. I hope that that email is correct. And one of the directors of the senior director of Alternatives is joining us tonight, Venetia David. So if you can get that into the comments box, Venetia, maybe you can just type in the email address so that people can have a look at that already. The live stream is not on there as yet. If you only want the live stream, that's going to be added over the next few days. So that's the end of July. to reach as many people as possible, and we will really very, very widely market that and try to reach as many people. And once we found this foundation, we go deeper. And on the 1st of August, we are offering a 31-day Reiki challenge to create a happier life and make the world a better place, step by step, every single day, with exercises for a whole month. And it's a program that's going to be even deeper this year, that I've been running for the last 2 years. The vast majority is channeled, and this is supposed to be the foundation of the project, the Reiki Revolution, to really get this inner revolution and then reach more people. We have postponed some of the online offerings we were going to do over the next few weeks, and all this is going to start then after we have built this huge foundation. But one workshop that was planned and that we have now postponed was called Finding Your Own Purpose. And of course, if you've tried to if you've been looking forward to that and wondered what your purpose may be, I would like to offer today one exercise, a slightly simpler version of that exercise, to receive a very personal message for yourself right now from your guides, from the universe, wherever you feel this message is coming from, or you may just call it Reiki. And it's this beautiful technique that is rooted in the Japanese Reiki traditions called Reiji Ho, guided by spirit. I use that very often in my personal life when I have to make decisions. And I often use that in Reiki treatments as well. All we do is we connect to Reiki, we bring our hands together in front of our heart and really feel the connection. I'm just giving you a little dry run at the moment. And then just ask Reiki, what is the message that I'm meant to receive today? And then slowly move your hands up to your third eye and wait for whatever comes into your mind. So when you're ready, I would like to invite me to join you for this moment of getting a personal message from the universe for your path. Maybe for a situation you're in right now, maybe for the next step to take. Maybe just a blessing, a hello from up there. You may feel it, you may hear something, you may see or sense something. It tends to work differently for different people, but I'm sure you will feel a strong connection. So when you're ready, just bring your hands together, close your eyes, hold your hands in front of your heart chakra, and set your intention to connect to Reiki. And then just ask Reiki, ask the universe, what is my message? Is there a message I'm supposed to receive today? And then slowly bring your hands up to your third eye and just listen to what the universe has to say. And then you can bring your hands slowly back down and take a moment to thank Reiki. And when you're ready, just open your eyes again. That felt really beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. I need to, from time to time, look here and check whether everything I wanted to say I've actually included, but I think I have. So let's come to our guest tonight, who I'm very, very excited and pleased to welcome, because we work together very, very closely. Hello, a very warm welcome, Rupert Fawcett. Great having you here tonight.
Thank you so much for being here. Well, the message I just got was enjoy and play more. So this seems like the perfect place to start.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. So Rupert Fawcett is a Reiki master and teacher. He has a private practice where he gives treatments in London, both in-person and distant treatments. He has a long experience of working in a hospice, so in a professional setting, giving Reiki treatments. He is CNHC registered, which means he has the accreditation to work in any professional setting with Reiki in the UK. And he is a very, very gifted and revered Reiki teacher at the Reiki Academy London. So it's amazing to have you here tonight, Rupert. Once again, a very, very warm welcome.
Thank you very much. What an introduction. I can't top
that. There's one thing I forgot, because Rupert is not just a Reiki master and teacher. Rupert also has a second job, and that is as an actor. And this is why he looks a little bit, quoting him from earlier when we had a brief chat beforehand, like Father Christmas tonight, because most people know him without a beard, but this is part of a role you're playing at the moment.
Yes, but it's the last day of filming tomorrow, so the beard is gone after tomorrow, and I cannot wait to get rid of it.
Brilliant. Well, it suits you, but I don't really like somebody kind of outstaging my stubble. So to see
it's outstaging me at the moment. So to be honest,
it's so good to have you here, and let's just have a bit of a deeper conversation about your experiences with Reiki, about your experiences with teaching Reiki, and there are a few aspects we'll hopefully get to a little bit later, where that are very, very, very special about yourself and your path with Reiki. One obviously is the acting, and the other one has got to do with eating habits, which is really interesting, and I think it's great to cover a little bit more. And there are quite a few of your students on there tonight who all say hello, Rupert. So before you started teaching Reiki, how did you and why did you get into Reiki?
I really don't quite know. I mean, I first came to Reiki over 20 years ago, mainly because I had a friend who was doing it and it seemed quite a cool thing to do. I always feel a bit of a fraud when I'm asked this question, because often people have gone through a deeply traumatic experience, or they've needed something and had to come out the other side. And I was just attracted to it because it seemed like quite fun to have these healing hands. But when I did it 20 years ago, I then did very little with it, and it really wasn't the right time for me. And I came back to it about 8 years ago now, I think. And there were sort of subtle signs from the universe that got less subtle until they were smacking me around the face and saying, you need to go back into Reiki. And then I learned through yourself, getting up to master level. And it was, even then, I think you asked me, or someone asked me, do you fancy teaching? And I was absolutely not, no interest in teaching Reiki whatsoever. And then you kindly asked me to assist you on a couple of courses, and it kind of went on from there. And it's such a joy and privilege to, I don't even consider it teaching. I am purely passing on further experience that I've gained with the Reiki, and I'm learning as much from the students as they're hopefully learning from me. And so it's not teaching, it's passing down the wisdom, it's passing on the baton. I think it's hugely important for us to ensure that Reiki continues this spread. And it is almost our duty in a way, whether that is just sharing it with friends and family and using our healing hands, or whether it's deepening our spiritual path, really to ensure that this is spread as far and wide as possible.
Yeah. Well, when we speak after a course, the first thing I remember I normally hear from you is that was just the right group coming together.
It's so, I mean, it's not weird anymore because we're so used to these experiences, but you can guarantee that there will be one or two who booked it last minute, or they had to postpone a course, and they get there and then they have an experience with someone, or they meet someone, or there is a group of like-minded people who all get together, and it's guaranteed that the right people will be on the course, even if that's to pose challenging questions, or to have a wonderfully sharing group that are passing on the experiences they've had. And you know, what my experience is, every group we have is there's such vulnerability in those shares, and it's so beautiful, but it gives people the courage to then voice what they've gone through as well. Yeah. So it's such a joy, and you just walk in knowing that whatever's going to happen that weekend, it will be the right thing for everybody.
I find it fascinating when we start in the mornings, and we've often been co-teaching as well. The group is sometimes, some people are quite bubbly, but most of the time a little bit, what am I doing here? Am I really in the right place? So how do you ease that? How do you take that fear away?
Well, those who have learned through me will know that I often say I take the practice of Reiki incredibly seriously. I very much enjoy that spiritual path. That to me is almost deeper than the hands-on healing. But I don't take Reiki seriously. I don't take teaching seriously. I want us to play. I want us to have fun. It's, you know, we can't get hung up on being perfect. Have I got my hands in the right position? Am I doing it right? I read in this book that if I do that, it'll be wrong. For me, it's personal to each individual. And that's the beauty of learning it, is everyone will have their own experience with it. So I joke around a bit when I'm teaching. I try and break the ice. I get people to talk to each other. And, you know, sometimes I feel like I'm repeating the same joke over and over, but then I remind myself it's a new group every time. So it's rather lovely. So that's when my acting experience comes in. And I'm certainly not afraid to sort of stand up and say my piece. But the ice breaks very, very quickly. And I find when we do the courses, as you will know, we always go around the room and people introduce themselves and often just say why they're here or what brought them to Reiki. And that is the moment when people go, oh gosh, yes, that's my story as well. Or I can relate to that. Or, oh, amazing, there's someone else like me here. And then suddenly, you know, the rest of the day is a breeze because everyone's chatting and it just deepens and deepens. And come Sunday morning, you know, we have to actually shut people up before we start because there's too much talk.
Yes, yeah. And of course, the beauty is you just can't go wrong with Reiki. You cannot do something wrong. You won't get wrong results or negative results. So it's playing with something, as you say, but it's not warning people against something. It's more about encouraging people to just find their own way.
Absolutely. And we do get students coming who have heard bad stories about it, or someone's had a bad experience, or they're worried about, you know, protection and all this sort of thing. And it's sad in a way that there are these negative connotations out there, or this misinformation out there. So I find it hugely important to ensure that everyone understands that we are working with pure love and light. It is flowing through us. It only flows one way. And it's a beautiful medium to work with. And I don't say that Reiki is the only one or the best one. There are some wonderful modalities out there. Reiki is the one that works for me and feels right for me, because it is just so gentle and loving, and it often has these incredible and surprising results.
It's fascinating. What I really enjoy about our conversation tonight is that we can go a little bit in different direction from the last three, because you are doing not just Reiki. And it basically reminded me that out of the 21 Reiki Masters Mikao Usui trained, only one gave up his job to become only a Reiki teacher, but then we don't even know whether he still had a job at the time, Jujiro Hayashi, or whether in fact he was or already retired from the army. That's at least to me not quite clear. But all the others kept their jobs, but also took Reiki very, very seriously in making that a very focal point in their lives, and also sharing Reiki. And so you are a trained actor. And I used in my introduction email today, I used the word deviation, which you weren't so sure about. What I really meant was you kind of took a little detour, or you kind of had a long pause with your training as an actor. And then at some stage you came back. So what happened there?
Well, a little pause is an understatement. It was a very long pause, and yes, I deviated from the path. But no, I trained as an actor and had some very good years with it. But as anyone who is in a creative profession will know, there can be some very difficult years as well. Financially, predominantly, when work is not coming in. And I was married, children, mortgages, all that kind of stuff, and there was a necessity to find alternative work at the time. And what was a temporary job lasted 15 years. But in my mind, it was always temporary. And what I didn't appreciate as I was doing that, I got sucked into the corporate world, which is just so not me. What I didn't realize was how much that actually took out of me, and how much it drained me. And I can look back on it now and say there was definitely some sort of breakdown there, certainly depression on a sort of fairly deep level. And that's when really, after those 15 years, that's when Reiki began to creep in. And it really was, the messages I was getting is it's time to step back into Reiki to support you, I suppose. And it's very hard to say that this was Reiki, but I can absolutely pinpoint to when I did the courses. That is when things began to shift, and the courage.
I remember from the first courses that you did at the Reiki Academy that you were still working in this corporate field.
Yeah. I was still there. It doesn't happen overnight, but I think it gave me the courage to find that voice and find the ability to slowly move away from it. And it still took a number of years, but I can absolutely look back at that time and go, that's when the shift began to happen. And I think for me, a lot of it was just following that deeper spiritual path of Reiki. It was beginning to understand my place in the universe, my connection with others, finding a kinder meaning to my outlook on life. And rather than being the victim of it all and it's everyone else's fault, it was really beginning to look at myself more deeply. And that allowed me to find the courage to get back into acting and also set up my Reiki practice. And I found it quite a sort of contradiction to begin with. It's like, on the one hand, I'm this actor, I'm portraying all these different character types, and it's sort of very full on, and yet I've got this spiritual path. But the more I do it now, they complement each other beautifully, because the acting allows me to explore all those facets of myself, call it shadow work in a way. I can really enjoy exploring all those different facets of my character, but I've always got the bedrock, I've always got the grounding of Reiki to bring me back. I've got the meditation practice and the self-healing that just allows me to really remain true to myself and have the courage and conviction to remain true to what I want to do. And it's definitely allowed me to find my passions. And the exercise we did earlier, using it sort of, what is my purpose in life? And I can say for certain I am now following, and I'm very blessed to be able to say this, I am following my two great passions. And it's a privilege and a joy to do that. But it is accessible to everyone. And I think it's just having the courage to step through the fear. And that's what holds most of us back. It's having the courage to step through the fear and realize that the other side of it is normally 100 times better than you thought it might be. And equally, if we make mistakes, if it goes wrong, that's part of the path we're on.
Yes.
And that's okay. And to really embrace going with the flow of the universe, source, Reiki, whatever you choose to call it, and allowing those to be experiences rather than negative events. Because what do we do from experiences? We learn and we grow and we move ever forwards. So it's been a wonderful journey, but it's only the beginning.
I find that so fascinating. So I just want to stay there a little bit longer. I know that a few people over the years who are in either the acting world or are on stage in the kind, they found Reiki really helpful battling stage fear. I somehow have a feeling that I don't know. I've never you never came across as kind of having that problem, so I don't know. But
I think it affects everyone, whether it's acting or anything that you're sort of stepping into the limelight or public, whether it's public speaking, whether it's doing something like this, any of these sort of events. There is an element of the fear. But what I've learned to actually look at is that feeling inside that we sometimes call fear is the identical feeling of excitement. And to me, all it shows is that you are passionate about it. It shows that you want to do it, however scary it might be, and it's pointing you in the right direction. So your fear is almost your radar to say, yes, this is the right way. Because if you had no feelings about it, why are you doing it? And that for a lot of people, that's potentially the job they're in. They are sort of devoid of feelings about it. They're not enjoying it because it's not following their true path. And I know sometimes that can be really difficult to step through that fear. But I think that for me has always been my guiding light of, what scares me, do it, push yourself through it. And the results and what you come out the other side is always amazing.
I find so many people are facing the same questions when they consider whether ever to teach Reiki. And it's so often people who have been giving treatments for a number of years, and at some stage their clients asked them whether they could learn Reiki, and they said, oh yeah, go there or there, and people will then say, no, I want to learn it from you. And everyone said, from me? How do I do that? And to overcome this fear and to sit in front of 1 or 2 or 10 people and share things is can really be quite scary. So it's this other kind of stage fear a little bit.
It's often the worst part of any course that we do is that initial going around the room and asking people to introduce themselves.
Yes.
Because understandably, some people just, they're not those sort of people. But actually, even the ones that say, oh, I really don't like talking, they will always have something to say. And then they realize the support around them. And giving your voice out is always so wonderful, because then you realize it's never as scary as you think it's going to be.
Yes. And of course, it's this natural, it's the love and support of a group using Reiki. And at some stage, it's simply the support we feel every day when we connect to Reiki with our hands and just have that. But it also brings changes. And I find it very, very interesting that inevitably, over the course of a weekend, there is a question whether people need to change their diet. So often, when I send out an email, just a pre-course information, I suggest not overdoing things, ideally not having any alcohol before, hopefully even for a few days, not having 10 cups of coffee or whatever a day, and kind of not overdoing things completely. Occasionally people say, I haven't had a single bit of caffeine for the last 3 days. Well, it wasn't really meant like that. I normally then respond to that. But step by step, often people feel they need to make changes to their diets. And I know that you have gone quite, I don't know if extreme is the right word, but you have made some major changes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it as extreme. It was a natural evolution for me. I'm now fully vegan. I follow a vegan path, and I'm in the process of trying to incorporate that in every aspect rather than just the food I eat as well. But for me, it was very, very natural. And I think as you deepen into the Reiki practice, as you recognize the deeper connection between not just us, but any sentient beings on the planet and the planet itself, it kind of brings you back to nature. It brings you back to our true form.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very hard for me then not to look at what I ate and not in some way sort of question it. And then I opened Pandora's box of going online and Googling everything. And unfortunately, at that point, there was no turning back.
Let's just go a little bit deeper, because I find that really, really fascinating. And I'm sure for a lot of people, really, really important as well on their path. What were the changes? So when you looked at the food chain or whatever, what was it that prompted you so strongly to make this?
For me, it's purely ethical. It was purely to do with the way that the dairy and the meat industry sort of carry out their practices, even the ones that claim to be sort of following it as humanely as possible. That there is ultimately an end goal which is not humane. And I'm not, I don't ever get on my soapbox about this. If people ask me, I'm happy to talk about it. But and I think everyone needs to find their own place, because all of our bodies are different. Just like we all work with Reiki energy differently, we all relate to food differently. And for some people, veganism isn't the only way. But for me, it was nothing to do with diet. It was nothing to do with health. It was purely on a conscious level. I could not continue the way I was, because I was a full-on carnivore. I loved meat, but I couldn't consciously carry that on and feel right within myself. And I'm that kind of happened when I came back to Reiki again and went through learning Reiki fully and fully embraced it. And it was a natural evolution. I didn't just sort of turn it on overnight, but it sort of was a gradual process until I almost looked back and went, oh, I'm basically vegan now without even planning to be. And I don't feel better on it. I just feel it feels right for me.
Okay. Does it also
I think it is vitally important that, it's what is right for you, whether it's food or anything else, will be right for you. And don't be convinced by others what you have to do. It's absolutely finding your own path with it.
Does it also provide some obstacles? Do you find you're spending a lot of time shopping, thinking about the food? Or
I love cooking, and I would much rather just sort of hang out in a supermarket than going clothes shopping. So I'm in my happy place when I do that. I can put some music on in the kitchen. Brilliant. I might have a glass of wine, and cooking for me is a way of winding down. So I already had that. So it was a very easy transition. It was just changing what I put on the plate. I can understand for some it can be a challenge, because suddenly you're having to undo everything and reinvent stuff. And if you don't enjoy cooking, unfortunately, now the mass sort of groups out there have realized there's a lot of money to be made out of it. Veganism is often no better, because it's a lot of very overproduced food, and so it's not particularly healthy. So it can be a challenge. But I think, even if you make little changes, I don't think you have to change totally. Even if you just make little changes and have a conscious nod to this planet we live on, because after all, we are not in charge of this planet. We are just members of it. And this is home to us and to many millions of other species. And it is a temporary home as well. So it breaks my heart to see what we do to it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But hopefully, I think there is change happening, and that there is a gradual shift going back to the practices that we intuitively knew without needing science to prove.
What I really like about what you say is that you kind of don't preach. This is how you do it. It's so often. I once heard when you have a vegan among your friends, you don't ever have to ask them. They will tell you. As soon as you put something on your spoon or fork, they'll tell you exactly what's in there and why you should eat it. But you're completely different. You just do it from it feels right.
Yeah, we do get a bad rep. Absolutely. I feel like the sun is now just coming around the corner, so I'm being bathed in half sunlight here. Veganism, it does get a bad rep sometimes. And it's a way of life. It's not a diet or anything. It's just, it feels right for me. But I think, like anything, even with Reiki, I don't sort of say you must learn Reiki and that's the only one, because you fall into that band of, my politics is the right one, or my religion is the right one. We are all ultimately connected to source, and we are all ultimately at a deeper level the same. We are all spirit. We are all here for a human experience to learn and grow, whatever form that takes. And when you look at the world like that, it's very difficult not to, for me, see it through those eyes.
Yes. And of course, we are all guided, but we are guided in different ways,
Yeah.
because this is just how we experience all these different aspects of being a spirit in a body. A little bit like acting, where you also go not necessarily in a different body, but in a different kind of mind frame and different persona. And of course, this is kind of how we experience things here as well. But we just mustn't forget this connection, and this is basically what Reiki gives us, which is absolutely phenomenal. This is, I'm just looking at the moment at the comments, and I would like to ask if there are any questions that people have. We've got some more time to look at some questions, and I think it'd be really nice to just get a little bit more interactive. But quite a few people, of course, know you already, and that's brilliant. While we wait for that, when you give treatments, do you ask information about the person coming to you, or do you just get a booking, you open the door, and then you?
I will always just get some basic information. I don't necessarily need to know exactly what is going on. I find that's a much better conversation when you're in person. But it's just, have you had Reiki before? So I then know, do I need to tailor the conversation when they arrive to go into more detail about what they're going to expect? And occasionally it's, why are you hoping to come? And also just checking that, this is something that they are aware of what it is, what it involves. I send out an email in advance, which has got a lot of the information in it. But I find for me, I work very intuitively, and I don't need to know the issues. If people want to share, that's fine. But we just go through the session and see what comes up. And in a way it's more reinforcing often for the client, because when you then say after the session, felt something there or something here, and then they go, oh my God, yes, that's where I've got the issue. They're not thinking, well, I told you that already. So in a way, it helps them to receive even deeper healing, because they're able to see that something has happened. Occasionally, people will tell me everything, or they will want to work on a specific area. And I think it's, again, you have to tailor it for each individual client. And that, again, is the beauty of Reiki. There's no a right way of doing it. It's unique for that person. It's unique for even the Reiki practitioner. And equally, you can see the same client multiple times, and it will be a different session every time.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very much so. Well, thank you so much. I'm just looking at any questions, and it seems that
I seem to have started a whole vegan debate not debate on here, but everyone's saying that they didn't enjoy meat after Reiki. So I'm sorry if that's been a side effect for many people, but
it is very, very interesting where Reiki takes us. So I think it would be great. We've got about 10-15 minutes left to go into a Reiki share, and let's just both stay on the screen and connect with everybody in this Reiki share, and send Reiki to each other to support us on our way. Sometimes what Reiki, the process Reiki starts, takes some time for us to basically catch up with. And it may also be a challenge. It may take us out of our comfort zone. And for that, as well as for our personal healing in physical ways, it's so helpful to have the support of other people and get Reiki from other people. In the courses at the Reiki Academy, we often suggest that people exchange their numbers and email addresses and meet up to give each other Reiki. And of course, once they've learned how to send a distant treatment, they can just connect as well. And this is what we are doing as a group here as well.
Just before we do,
there was a question.
A couple of questions have come up. So just to so people don't sort of feel that they haven't been seen. who was asking? Monique saying, how do the remote treatments compare with the in-person ones? For me, they're very similar. I actually enjoy in-person more, but that's a personal thing, because then I get to actually sit down with the person and have a chat with them. And I'm terrible as a practitioner, because I charge for an hour, but I almost always end up giving at least an hour and a half, because I enjoy having a chat afterwards. So it's not very good management from a business perspective, but I find a lot comes out of that, and in over a distance, a phone call is great afterwards, but it's never quite the same. But in terms of the efficacy of the treatment, what I get from it, what people seem to receive, I find it absolutely identical. And then what was one other? Wobbly Learning. What a great name. Our teacher taught us never to charge money for treatment. What is your view? Right. We are having this human experience. We need to eat. We need to pay the rent, or whatever that may be. We need to provide. We need to have clothing. And if Reiki is the job you undertake, or at least a part-time job, I think it's absolutely okay to charge. And I don't see why we shouldn't. And anyone who struggles with charging, I often say, rather than charging for Reiki, charge for your time. So if you find it difficult to say, I'm charging for a treatment because I enjoy giving the treatments, then just say, well, I've spent X amount of years learning Reiki, I've paid this amount for the equipment, for the courses, and I'm giving you 1 hour of my time, and that is worth something. Because you are
absolutely. Yes. I just read this fascinating very short chapter in a book by Neil Donald Walsh the other day, and he said what an interesting society that connects not making money with being good or doing something good. So basically, the better we do something, the better we are, the more we do something for other people. Society, or we tend to think that we shouldn't charge for it, or we should do it completely for free, whilst we somehow accept that the most horrific, awful, illegal things where people exploit it, it's okay to make a lot of money with that, rather than thinking, really, the better, the more good things we do, the more we help, the more ethical things and healing things we do, the better we should basically be, how do I end the sentence? We should be remunerated much better for that. So basically, where are the values in a society? I find that really interesting, but I tend to say exactly the same. You're charging, Reiki is free, but you charge for the time.
And ultimately, money is energy. You know, we will often have negative connotations with it from limiting beliefs that we've grown up with, but it is energy, and it's an amplifier of energy as well. So if you come in with a true spirit and through love and light, then you will be using that money to further benefit people, to spread that further, and it can only be for the good. So I think it's completely fine to enjoy the material side of this human experience.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm just looking at one more question here, asking about whether you have to put a symbol on every chakra, or probably every kind of place where you place your hands, or is it okay to use it just once? I think we'll probably go into the idea of symbols at a later stage in more depth in another show. But how do you do it? Do you use a symbol just once, or in every place?
For me, it's mainly just once, unless I feel particularly drawn to use it again. But I don't feel I need to keep reinforcing the symbol. You know, once you've put that out there, the universe has received it, Reiki's received it, it knows your intention there. So almost, if we keep doing that symbol, then we are maybe questioning if it's working or not. But if you feel drawn to it because you feel maybe a different symbol, but if your intention at the beginning, I think you were saying, do I use it on every chakra? Is, you know, if your intention is just to work with this symbol for their highest good in this treatment or this session that I'm giving, then that for me is totally sufficient. But again, if, like I tend to say with teaching, if it feels right for you, do it. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. And just because someone's told you have to do it this way, that doesn't necessarily mean it's correct. I mean, after all, we cannot say for absolute certainty that we are following the exact teachings of Mikao Usui, because they've been changed and slightly adapted for every individual who's been a master and then attuned people. So
again,
whatever feels right for you,
intuition.
do that. Yeah.
It comes back to that. Rupert, thank you so much for this
Thank
really,
you.
really engaging communication. And let's now all share Reiki. So when you're ready, just sit comfortably, sit back, close your eyes, bring your hands together and connect to Reiki, however you've learned it. And once you feel the connection, just set your intention to now connect with everybody who is joining into this show today, tonight, or another day at a replay. This is the amazing thing with Reiki, that we can still feel the community, the connection. And then if you've learned Reiki 2, you can draw the connection symbol and then connect with everybody and feel Reiki flowing to everybody. And at the same time, feel that you are receiving Reiki from everyone. You may at some stage feel that really there's no giver or receiver in a Reiki treatment. We're just opening up collectively to Reiki. We are sharing Reiki. And if you are experiencing a challenge in your life at present, you may just set your intention that this powerful group treatment may help you with dealing with this problem. And then when you're ready, you can bring your hands back together and just take a moment to thank Reiki. And then just open your eyes again. Thank you so much for this powerful sharing, for the connection, for the community. Once again, if you want to connect with Rupert, it's rupertfawcettreiki.com. If you want to find out more at what we do at the Reiki Academy, just have a look at reikiacademylondon.com. And for the event at the end of July, Reiki for Inner Peace, you can already go to alternatives.org.uk. I'm pretty sure that's the right website, and also put that in the new newsletter as well. Thank you so much for, well, doing all this together. If we grow this, if we share and reach more and more people, it's going to be absolutely amazing. And I hope that just as tonight's amazing conversation, I found very, very inspirational. Hopefully the next guests I'm sure will also be very inspirational. We've talked about being vegan and veganism today. Next week we will have Sue, a lady who has introduced guidelines for animal Reiki to the UK, and she will talk about giving Reiki to animals, to pets, to animals on farms, and how this works together with vets and nurses. It's going to be very fascinating, so I hope you'll join again. And I wish you all a very, very good night, very good day, wherever you are in the world, and whenever you are going to watch this. If you've got any comments, if you've got any more questions, please make sure to leave them in the comments box or to send us an email. We really want to make this a community tool, and that means we need to work together to get the best out of this hour every Tuesday. And today it was just a wonderful hour. Thank you so much, Rupert, again for being here. And well, have a great evening in London. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
And now I need to see what my online manager told me to do. Yes, I think I need to click on a button so that we will smoothly fade out. And once again, love, light, Reiki blessings to everybody.